Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Metzia, page 13a, top of the page. And this is the PL89 calendar. And one of the purposes of the PL89 calendar is to understand what is known as the Sod HaIbor, the secret of intercalations. And it is also to connect Daf Yomi learning system with all of the 7-year cycles that have gone by, Shemitah cycles and other things since its inception. And so this PL89 calendar has been developed, and it takes into consideration the sun and the moon, and it has a solar date and a lunar date and a Julian calendar date. Excuse me 1 second. And so that's what this is. And so going forward, maybe not every single day, it's not a law, but I'm going to try to connect the Daf Yomi with the particular days on the calendar. On the PL89 calendar, it is on box number 7. Because Rosh Chodesh Adar is on 38, right here, and Bays would be right here. So 7, and it's 12 from the other calculation, which would be March 12th, and it's on box 12. And the Julian calendar is on box 31. Okay. Maybe you won't do this every day, but just to give a frame of reference, every now and then I'll do that to refresh. But anyway, we're in Bava Metzia Yud Gimel. The Mishnah is referring not to one who finds an ordinary promissory note, but to one who finds a deed of transfer. This refers to a promissory note that establishes a lien on the debtor's property from the date the note is written, regardless of when he borrows the money, because the debtor obligated himself from that date. The creditor has the legal right to repossess his land from any subsequent purchasers. The Gemara asks, if this is so, the following difficulty arises. How will one account for the ruling of the Mishnah here, which teaches that if the promissory notes include a property guarantee, the finder should not return them to the creditor, as we established that the reference is to a case when the debtor admits that he still owes the debt, and that the promissory note should not be returned due to suspicion that perhaps the debtor wrote it with the intention to borrow the money in Nisan, but did not actually borrow it until Tishrei. And therefore, if the promissory note is returned to the creditor, he will come to repossess the land from the purchasers unlawfully. If Rav Asi's explanation is correct, why shouldn't the finder return the document? The Gemara elaborates. Let us see ibishtar hakna'a. Let us see what the possibilities are. If the reference is to a deed of a transfer, ha sha'abed le'nafshe. Didn't the debtor obligate himself that his property can be collected for payment of a loan from the date that the deed of the transfer was written? Conversely, if the reference is to a promissory note that is not a deed of transfer, there is no room for concern, as you said, that in such a case, when the lender is not present together with the borrower, we do not write such a document. Amar la achal Rav Asi. The Gemara answers, Rav Asi could have said to you, although we do not write promissory notes that are not deeds of transfer when the lender is not present together with the borrower, with regard to the case in the Mishnah, it can be explained that since the promissory note was dropped, its credibility was compromised, and consequently we are concerned that perhaps it happened to have been written in the absence of the lender, deviating from the standard procedure. Abaye stated an alternative explanation of the Mishnah that allows one to write a promissory note for a borrower in the absence of the lender. The document's witnesses, with their signatures, acquire the lender's lien on the borrower's land on the lender's behalf, despite the fact that the loan did not occur yet. And this applies even with regard to promissory notes that are not deeds of transfer. Abaya offered this explanation because Rav Asi's explanation was difficult for him, since he said with regard to promissory notes that are not deeds of transfer that we do not write them when the lender is not present together with the borrower. There is no reason for concern that perhaps in the case of a found promissory note it happened to be written in the lender's absence. Okay. The Gemara asks, how can Abaya's opinion be reconciled with that which was learned in the Mishnah in 18a, that if one found bills of divorce or bills of manumission of slaves, or wills, deeds of gift, receipts, he may receipts, he may not return them to the people who are presumed to have lost them. The reason is that perhaps they were only written and not delivered, because the one who wrote them subsequently reconsidered about them and decided not to deliver them. The Gemara asks, if he reconsidered and decided not to deliver them, what of it? Didn't you say that a document's witnesses with their signatures acquired on behalf of the recipient? If so, why shouldn't it be returned to him? The Gemara answers, this statement that a creditor acquires a lien on debtor's land immediately when the witnesses sign the document applies only in a case where the document came into the creditor's possession, but in a case where the document did not come into his possession, as it was never given to him, we do not say that. The Gemara asks, rather, how can the Mishnah be reconciled with Abaya's opinion, as it teaches, with regard to one who found promissory notes, if they include a property guarantee, he may not return them to the creditor, as we established that the Mishnah is referring to a case when the liable party, i.e. the debtor, admits to the debts, and nevertheless the finder may not return the note due to the suspicion that perhaps he wrote the promissory note with the intention to borrow the money in Nisan, but he did not actually borrow it until Tishrei. The Gemara elaborates, granted, according to Rav Asi, who says that the halacha that a promissory note may be written for the borrower in the absence of a lender applies with regard to deeds of transfer, the Mishnah can be established as referring to promissory notes that are not deeds of transfer, and it is as we stated above. But according to Abaye, who says that a document's witnesses with their signatures acquire the lien on the lender's behalf, what is there to say? Why shouldn't one return the promissory notes even if they include a property guarantee for the loan? The Gemara answers. Let's see if we can get to a new place. Maybe we'll stop here.